The center position in the NBA has always been an interesting topic to many fans of the league. In the past, it seemed necessary to have a dominant big, and now recently, a number of unique centers have showed how important they really can be. So who's up next? Young bigs such as Bam Adebayo and DeAndre Ayton have recently proved their worth on the biggest stage. But instead of talking about guys that have already started their NBA careers, let's focus on the newest exciting center to enter the league. His name is Evan Mobley, and this is his story. The main character in our story grew up with basketball always in his life. His father Eric was a former international professional player and coached both Evan and his older brother Isaiah from a young age. He made sure basketball was a priority and taught them to dribble as soon as they could walk. The real story, however, begins in 2016 when Mobley grew over 6'4" and attended Rancho Christian School in California along with his brother.
I love the process of getting better. If you love that, you're always going to get better at whatever you do. So I just stay in the gym, keep working, whatever my weaknesses are, I try to make them strengths.
As a freshman, Mobley had already been noticed by respected Division I schools because of his potential to be an extremely versatile big. At the time, Evan showed flashes of being a dominant defender while also being able to throw down lobs and handle the ball. Unfortunately, he was injured his freshman year, so he wasn't really able to put his talents on display. It was his sophomore season where Evan got his chance to prove his potential is real.
But freshman year, I got hurt a lot, so I was playing on and off, so people really didn't get to see me, and then now sophomore year, people are starting to know me.
At this point, he was closer to 6'7" and was a key piece in Rancho Christian, recording a 29-5 record. They lost in the third round of the state playoff tournament, but Evan was now known as a menace on the defensive end and a mismatch offensively. At this point, he had received offers from 6 Division I basketball schools, but still wasn't ready to make a commitment just yet. After the season was over, Mobley was invited to join Team USA for the Under-17 FIBA World Cup. The 2018 competition was held in Argentina, and Evan was the defensive anchor that allowed the team to be so successful. He was joined by other top prospects such as Jalen Green, Isaac Okoro, Jalen Suggs, and others. They tore through the competition, beating every team by around 40 points on their way to a gold medal. Mobley averaged 9 points, 6 boards, 3 assists, and a few blocks. After the tournament was over, Evan went back to the States and joined his brother Isaiah on an AAU team coached by their father, called the Compton Magic. The team consisted of the two brothers, Onyeka Okongwu, who was taken 6th in last year's draft, and some talented guards. The Magic had an impressive showing at the Las Vegas Fab 48 Tip-Off Challenge, as they took home the chip against a team from DC. This summer was where Evan was able to refine his skills prior to entering his junior season at Rancho Christian. He was still a shot-blocking genius on defense who could move his feet, but his offensive game took a jump. He was more comfortable taking outside shots, passing out of the post, and creating off the dribble. Upon entering his junior season, Evan was among the top-ranked prospects, while his brother and dad both joined USC, one as a player and the other as an assistant coach, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. This season, Rancho Christian was matched up against some of the toughest schools in the nation, but that didn't faze Mobley at all. He was absolutely dominant, putting up 19 points, 10 boards, and almost 5 blocks a game. Evan led them to their 5th consecutive league title and was named the California Gatorade Player of the Year and the Press Enterprise Player of the Year. Now he was ready to repeat what he did last summer with Team USA. However, unfortunately, Evan was injured for most of the tournament and only ended up playing in 2 games for the 2019 Under-19 FIBA World Cup. The team was still stacked, led by Cade Cunningham and every other top prospect around, so of course they took home the gold. Once Mobley was healed up, he again played for the Compton Magic, where they competed in the Adidas Gold Gauntlet, which is considered a very competitive event. Evan led the team with 16 points, 8 boards, 3 assists, and 2 blocks a game. After the summer was over, he was now ready for his final season of high school ball. But first, he had to make a decision. Mobley had received attention from tons of great schools, and was now a 6'11" center that ranked in the top 3 of his class. So it should come as no surprise that he committed to play for USC, the same school his brother plays for and his father coaches. This, however, created a conversation regarding his father's credentials as an assistant coach, because people were assuming he was given the job due to his 2 5-star recruit sons that committed to the program. However, that just wasn't the case. After 11 years of coaching some of the best young talent in the California AAU scene, he was a great recruitment asset as well as a knowledgeable coach from his professional days. Upon entering his senior season, Mobley was seen as the #1 ranked player in his class by many. It was between himself, Cade Cunningham, and Jalen Green, but none of that mattered to Mobley. He just wanted to win. At this point, he was a highly skilled center that was able to facilitate when he needs to, finish with a soft touch or dunk, and of course he has the defensive ability to defend 1 through 5. He was seen as the perfect big man. Evan led the most talented team his school had ever seen, which included himself, a player that committed to Gonzaga, and 4 other top 50 ranked players who went on to have successful college careers. Mobley averaged 20 points, 12 boards, 5 assists, and 5 blocks a game, leading the squad to a 22-8 record. After the season, he was again named the California Gatorade Player of the Year, joining Drew Holiday as the only player to win the award twice, and was also named the Morgan Wooten National Player of the Year. Evan was invited to play in the McDonald's All-American Game, Jordan Brand Classic, and Nike Hoop Summit, but all were cancelled due to the pandemic. Coming into college, Evan Mobley was a top-ranked recruit that was set to bring the Trojans to the next level. They had a few sophomore guards returning, as well as Evan's older brother Isaiah. Before his arrival, they were known as a pretty good team that would make the NCAA tournament, but usually as a middle-of-the-pack seed that didn't make too much noise. The expectations for Mobley were high, and he was ready. The season started off well as they went 8-2 in their first 10 games, taking down other Pac-12 teams such as Arizona. Evan dropped 21 points and 9 boards in his college debut to lead his team to an OT victory. The next 10 games went even better. The Trojans only lost 1 game and even had their first test against a ranked opponent, UCLA. At this point, they were 17-3, and Mobley had made it clear that he is one of, if not the best defenders in all of college basketball. On top of that, he was probably the most versatile big as well. The Trojans finished the regular season with a 21-6 record and lost in the quarterfinals of the Pac-12 tournament to 23rd ranked Colorado. They lost by a basket, but Evan had a strong showing with 26 points and 5 blocks. Mobley and the Trojans wouldn't be satisfied with an early exit out of their conference tournament, so they brushed off the loss and quickly set their focus onto the shot at a national title. USC was a 6 seed coming into the tournament and definitely had a chance of making some noise as long as they played their game. They were a good 3-point shooting team with 5 guys that knocked them down at over 35% and shared the ball well as they had 5 players with 2 or more assists per game. In the first round, they are matched up against 11th ranked Drake, who they easily beat out 72-56, with Mobley dropping 17 points, 11 boards, and 3 blocks. The next round was a much bigger challenge, as Evan and the Trojans had to take down Kansas, who was a 3 seed. The expectation was that this would be a much closer game than the previous one, but that wasn't the case. Again, USC dominated as they took down the Jayhawks 85-51. They had 6 players in double digits, and Mobley proved why he's such a unique center, recording 3 more blocks and 5 assists to go with it. Now USC was ready for the Sweet 16, where they took on 6-seeded Oregon, a team led by Chris Duarte, the 13th pick in the 2021 NBA draft. This was another solid showing from Mobley. While he only dropped 10 points, he had 6 assists and 2 blocks, doing his part as his starting guards caught fire, shooting 7 for 11 from deep. The Trojans took down Oregon 82-68 and had to quickly prepare for the Elite 8. Things were getting real now. USC had an actual shot at the title, but it wouldn't be easy. Up until this point, they took down every team by double digits, but now they had to face the powerhouse that is Gonzaga. The team consisted of 5th pick Jalen Suggs, 15th pick Corey Kispert, and a great supporting cast. They were the top seed in the tournament and hadn't lost a game all season. USC was given the tough task of trying to hand Gonzaga their first loss, but they just couldn't get it done. The Bulldogs walked away with an 85-66 victory and eventually lost to Baylor in the national title game. Evan and his brother had solid games, both dropping around 17 points, but this was the end of their season. By the end of his 1 year at college, Evan Mobley averaged 16 points, 9 boards, 2.5 assists, and 3 blocks a game. His dominance was recognized by the nation as he was named the Pac-12 Player of the Year, the Defensive Player of the Year, and the Freshman of the Year, joining Anthony Davis as only the second player to ever win all 3 awards in one season. At this point, Mobley was 7 feet, can handle the ball when he needs to, hit an outside shot at times, throw down lobs or finish with a soft touch, pass in tough situations, and defend 1 through 5. He was everything his potential said he would be, and now all that's left is the NBA draft.
It's crazy that I'm here right now. Like, it's been a long time coming, so I'm just super excited.
Coming into the draft, there was a lot of conversation about who should go second overall, Jalen Green or Evan Mobley. The main thought process was mostly that Green was a guard with elite athleticism, whereas Mobley is a big. So after Cade was taken first and Green scooped up by the Rockets at 2, the Cavs selected Evan with the 3rd pick in the 2021 NBA draft. Some saw it as a steal for a guy with the skill set and potential that Mobley has. Talent-wise, he's a great addition to a team that is rebuilding around some solid young players. As of the time of me making this video, I've heard some people say that Mobley should be able to play alongside Jarrett Allen, creating a big defensive duo at the 4 and 5 spots. Since Evan is such a versatile player on both ends of the floor, the two could work together, but only time will tell. If Mobley is able to fully develop into the player scouts say he could be, in his prime we should see a Defensive Player of the Year candidate that is comfortable handling the ball in transition and can finish through defenders, make a clean pass, or space out the floor. That still might not even be his true potential, but regardless, Mobley will still have to put in the work. If you made it to the end of the video, consider subscribing and dropping a like.